Here's everything you need to know about the HIMARS. Recent news of a $700 million aid package to Ukraine has shed light on one of the newest weapon systems to be sent to Ukraine, the HIMARS. Now, what's a HIMARS? In this video, we're going to break down some of the key considerations for you about the HIMARS and its potential impact on Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The HIMARS, or High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, is a self-propelled multiple launch rocket system initially fielded by the United States military in the 90s. There are a total of about 540 that were produced, and the US military has a stockpile of around 100 that they would theoretically be able to provide without impacting US military line units. The US has agreed to initially provide 4 HIMARS to Ukraine and monitor how they're used before committing more systems. Now, the HIMARS is a vastly superior weapons system when compared alongside Russia's aging but closely comparable BM-27 Uragan and BM-30 Smerch, largely due to technology in loading and precision. First up, range and accuracy. The HIMARS is technically able to reach over 300 kilometers when equipped with the Army Tactical Missile System, though the US has stated that the Army Tactical Missile System would not be provided. That leaves the most likely armament for HIMARS as the M30A1, M31, and M31A1, which will limit the HIMARS range to around 70 kilometers. Regardless of the limiter, a 70-kilometer range is a major increase in capability, especially when you add into consideration the mobility of the platform. The accuracy of the platform in comparison to the Russian Uragan and Smerch is where the system really shines. The circular error probable of the Uragan and Smerch is somewhere around the 160 to 170 meter range, which is a large reason that Russia typically uses cluster munitions to engage and blanket an area in fires. The circular error probable of a HIMARS is 5 meters. CEP means that out of all rounds fired by the HIMARS, at least 50% of the munitions will fall inside of a 5-meter circle on the target. Mobility. HIMARS is a wheeled system capable of shooting and scooting inside of minutes that you can count on your hands. This is possible due to a few different factors. The HIMARS is loaded with an onboard crane system with pods that include 6 missiles each rather than individual missiles. But it's more than likely that the HIMARS is going to engage with a fire mission and unask its location without having to reload while in the field. It's also pertinent to note from both a mobility and a speed perspective that HIMARS uses a screen and keyboard to enter its coordinates rather than the optical sights for the Uragan and Smerch that Russia fields. Let's talk about its armament. Armament for the HIMARS that's likely to be sent to Ukraine can include the M30A1, which is a GPS-guided artillery rocket containing over 180,000 tungsten steel BB-sized balls. Once it's fired, the M30A1 is guided to its target and turns into a giant evil shotgun, peppering everything in its target radius with hell rain. If fired in a full volley of 6 artillery rockets, that amounts to over 1 million tiny steel balls. Other more traditional rounds likely to make an impact in Ukraine are the M31 and M31A1 guided artillery rockets. The M31 has around 200 pounds of high explosives, and this is in comparison to the example of a 155 shell fired from an American M777, of which we provided over 100, which has 18 pounds of high explosives. The M31A1 is just an evolved version of the M31 with increased reliability. Now let's talk about the vulnerability of the HIMARS. Ukraine's use of the 4 HIMARS it's being sent will be monitored by the US, likely to ensure that they're operating within the boundaries of the United States agreement, which includes not striking into Russia with US systems, as well as generally speaking protecting the system from capture. Because of the range of the system and its armament, it won't be as close to the front line as you might think. Now that still leaves the system vulnerable to air. Ukraine will have to employ increased anti-air capabilities to protect the HIMARS while it's both awaiting mission and immediately following a mission. Russia will attempt at all costs to destroy the HIMARS simply due to the capability increases across the board. Russia is also going to attempt to destroy the HIMARS from a propaganda perspective to show that Russia can counter US weapon systems. What are your thoughts on the delivery of the HIMARS to Ukraine? It's definitely a capability increase, but is it enough to put Russia further on the back foot? Let us know in the comments. Now that's it for this episode. Hit the like, sub, bell, and stay informed.